Now at 9, Joplin residents take the plunge for a good cause. Plus, Sacred Heart in Webb City hosts their annual turkey dinner. And McCune Osage Township Library holds a Christmas gift bazaar to help get their community in the Christmas spirit.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
American Legion Post 13 salutes veterans in Peace Church Cemetery. This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Elise Snowy. Today, American Legion Post 13 invited Joplin residents to join them at Peace Church Cemetery to pay respect to those who served our country. There was a 21-gun salute, set flags, and play taps. The event is in honor of Veterans Day, November 11th.
My favorite part is just being able to honor those men that have gone before us for the work that they did while they were in the military to keep us free and a free nation. And hopefully the military that's out there existing today, that they will continue to keep us a free nation.
The American Legion Post 13 will also be honoring Veterans Day in the Veterans Day Parade next Saturday. The annual Bark Ranger event took place today at Fort Scott Historical Site. Bark Ranger was established by the National Park Service to teach responsible pet ethics for national parks and public spaces. They partnered with a shelter called Paws and Claws to provide free nail trimmings, microchip services, vaccines, and more.
Fort Scott has a lot of problems with animals running away, animals being lost or abandoned. And so this was a way for us to give back and help get some animals adopted.
We're filling some needs. So maybe people who can't necessarily afford to get their animals vaccinated, we're providing that service at a lower cost today so that we can keep the pets healthy and hopefully help keep pets in homes where they are cared for.
Bark Ranger also partnered with Fort Scott High School to sell homemade dog treats. Chris Warner joins us with a first look at weather.
Yeah, we saw cloudy skies start to build in across the area earlier today. This is our camera on top of the Cornell complex downtown Joplin. Light breeze, nothing too crazy, but the winds are going to start to pick up for us. And again, there's just another view from earlier today of those cloudy skies from the MODOK camera 20th and range line. Our drought situation does continue to improve. We still have extreme drought in parts of southeast Kansas, but on some of the other updates, it was still at exceptional levels. We still have a long way to go to make that up, but we are progressively making minor strides here. Yesterday started at 45, made it to 71, so our low a little above average, our high a little bit more above average to the tune of 6 degrees. So the most average day we had was last Thursday. Temperatures continue to climb across the area, and they'll do that as we head into next week, at least initially. And of course, don't forget tonight, set your clocks back 1 hour before you go to bed. That way you can get that extra hour of sleep. We do have some rain chances out there. We're going to talk about all that in your full forecast here in just a few more minutes.
All right, thanks, Chris. The Freeman Health Systems Ozark Center hosted the 10th annual Clays for a Cause in Wyandotte, Oklahoma today to raise funds for the Bill and Virginia Leffen Center for Autism. The Clay sporting tournament was open to both 4-person teams and individual shooters with an entry fee of $100.
Just getting to know the people who come to shoot because they're very good people, and it's unusual maybe for them to get the opportunity to do what they really enjoy doing and do it for a group of people that they might never meet, but they probably are related to in some way, and that's families that have been impacted by autism.
The top 3 teams won cash prizes, and the top individual shooter won a $1,000 cash prize. Today, the Joplin Polar Plunge event, dubbed Reason for Freezin', took place at Shoal Creek, where participants took a plunge to support Special Olympics Missouri. The event, hosted by Joplin and Carthage Police Departments, was disco-themed, and those in attendance sported their best disco-inspired costumes and swimwear.
The Polar Plunge is, we have people that register to plunge with us. They raise $75 in support of Special Olympics Missouri, and then they come out and they get in these very cold waters and they take the plunge.
We volunteered with Missouri Southern Softball to come out and be with everyone today for this awesome event.
The event was open to anyone 10 years or older, and every participant was required to raise a minimum of $75. This year's fundraising goal was $12,000. Residents in McCune, Kansas today were able to get a head start on Christmas shopping with the Christmas Bazaar. The event gives small businesses an opportunity to sell their products and interact with the community. Some vendors served food and others sold things like tumblers, towels, cutting boards, and more.
I really like getting to see the variety of what a small community can bring forth and getting to support like the local small businesses and crafters and just having that time to converse with people as well.
And Cora and I wanted to find something to do, and it happened to be chocolate.
But chocolate's really hard to work with.
Chocolate is hard to work with. There is definitely a learning curve there, isn't there? Yep.
There was also an event that was a raffle that featured prizes like tumblers, ornaments, and blankets. Sacred Heart Church today hosted its 74th annual turkey dinner. Attendees were treated to the Thanksgiving feast after service. This year, they served Thanksgiving classics like turkey, green beans, dressing, mashed potatoes, and a roll, along with your choice of dessert. It included a silent auction, country store, and take-home plates.
And it's really great just to see, other people coming to help other people. I've had people say, this is such a nice thing during the weekend to not have to cook.
They come once and they feel like, it's amazing, and they get a lot of food, and, they want to come back. They're looking forward to coming back.
Tickets were $10 for adults and $5 for children. Later, how drowsy driving is impacting teenager safety. Don't forget to fall back this weekend. Daylight savings time officially ends on Sunday at 2 a.m. The time change can be challenging for some, especially those who have Alzheimer's disease or dementia. Mandy Gaither has more on how to help symptoms of sundowning as the time changes.
It's time to fall back, but the changing time can create confusion called sundowning among those who have dementia or Alzheimer's disease.
They have a lot of damage to their brain, so their brain is not working as well as it used to.
Sundowning symptoms can include difficulty sleeping, anxiety, agitation, hallucinations, pacing, and disorientation, says Dr. Douglas Shari with Ohio State's Wexner Medical Center.
You have less sensory input when the sun goes down. This is what the sundowning term refers to. When the sun goes down, things get darker, there are more shadows. You can't interpret or process as well as you used to.
There are ways caregivers can help, Shari says, to keep a predictable routine. Go to bed, get up, and eat at the same times each day. Next, plan activities during the morning and early afternoon so they'll be sleepy at night. Limit daytime napping, caffeine, sugar. Turn on a nightlight to help reduce agitation that may happen when it's dark. And make sure hearing aids and glasses are close by to avoid additional sensory deprivation. If sleep isn't coming easy, talk to a doctor about ways to help get those Z's, like the use of melatonin.
If the caregiver is not getting good rest because the patient's up all night, then subsequently the patient may not be getting the best care, from a sleep-deprived caregiver.
The Alzheimer's Association says it's also important that a person living with dementia get plenty of rest and to spend time outside in the sunlight during the day if possible. The organization says caregivers can also write down what happens before a sundowning event so that triggers can be avoided. A new survey finds new health risks for teens and the public, and it comes when teens get behind the wheel. A National Sleep Foundation survey says lots of teens say they're sleepy when driving. 1 in 6 teens say they've driven when drowsy within their first 2 years of driving. And 95% admit it's risky, but they rate drunken, drugged, and distracted driving as much more dangerous. Jobs and school commitments were the top 2 factors in drowsy driving. Drowsy driving kills an estimated 6,400 people a year. Chris Warner is next with a complete look at the forecast. And later, a foundation created to honor late Friends actor.
Welcome back. We did see some increasing clouds heading into the afternoon, and some of us even getting in on some shower activity, some of us continuing to get in on that shower activity through the evening, and that will persist overnight tonight. Could even have a couple of rumbles of thunder, but the good news is no strong, severe storms, anything like that. Just some much needed rain, albeit brief and rather scattered out there. Earlier today, this was the view from our camera on top of the Cornell Complex, downtown Joplin. We had the clouds building in, some winds blowing out there, but no wild gusty winds like we've seen over the past week. But unfortunately, the gusty winds are going to make a return in the forecast. So we go late into tonight. So this is what I'm talking about. These are very widely scattered out there, but there will be a few showers, maybe even a couple of thunderstorms as we go into the overnight hours. They'll be brief, they'll be isolated, but some of us will get rain. We'll go ahead and start to warm back up again tomorrow, though. This is about noon on Sunday. Temperatures rising once again into the upper 60s. Then we go in the low 70s by the afternoon. So remember, our average high for this time of year is supposed to be right about 63 degrees, so well above that. In fact, we're still above average even as late in the day as 6 o'clock in the evening on our Sunday. However, we're going to remain dry as we head through Sunday and into our Monday across the area, but rain chances are still a possibility as we head into next week. But before that, we're also going to stay quite warm, and unfortunately, because we just can't get rid of those gusty winds, they're going to make a return, and they'll start to do so by tomorrow afternoon. Now, initially, as you can see, nothing too wild, but as the day progresses on Sunday, wind gusts start reaching around 20 miles an hour. We go into the overnight hours and into Monday morning. Now we've got wind gusts up to 30 miles an hour, maybe even upwards of 35 miles an hour. However, the winds will begin to calm down as we get into the second half of our Monday, at least a little bit across the area. So for tonight, again, a few isolated to widely scattered showers, maybe a rumble of thunder. Lows again above average into the mid 50s out there, with the northeast breeze at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. We head into our Sunday, we're warm again and above average again. Low 70s, a few lingering morning showers out there, and then those will clear out, but we'll be stuck with the mostly cloudy skies and the gusty winds gusting out of the south now at about 20 miles an hour. We go into the rest of our week. Things continue to warm up. Look at Monday and Tuesday. We are pushing close to 80 degrees. And this is the second week of November, and it's going to be darn near 80. But then we've got our shower chances on Wednesday, and that will bring our temperatures back down right about average as we head through Friday of next week. We start to head into next weekend, and that's when things are definitely going to change again. We have more shower chances, and as you can see, another little bit of a cool down. But the good news is next weekend's cool down, nothing like what we saw a week ago. Our temperatures won't be plummeting, but we will fall just a little below average.
All right, thanks, Chris. A foundation has been created in Matthew Perry's name to help those struggling with addiction. The foundation launched Friday, less than a week after the actor's death from an apparent drowning. In a statement, the Matthew Perry Foundation said it wants to honor the actor's legacy by making a difference in as many lives as possible. Perry, who played Chandler Bing on Friends, has been open about his lifelong efforts to recover from drug and alcohol addiction. In an interview last year, Perry said he hoped to be remembered most for his efforts helping others struggling with addiction. Coming up, thousands gather at the nation's capital.
One of the largest pro-Palestinian demonstrations in the nation taking place today in our nation's capital. Thousands gathered calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. I'm Mike Emanuel in Washington. I'll have that story coming up.
Milk cartons at schools may be in short supply. A report says school lunches that contain small cartons of milk may become rare in school cafeterias in several states, including New York, Pennsylvania, California, and Washington. Pactiv Evergreen, a leading Illinois company in food and beverage packaging, says it's facing higher than projected demands for milk cartons, causing unfilled milk orders. The shortage could also impact milk and juice served in hospitals, nursing homes, and prisons. And dairy experts say the shortage could last until early next year. DoorDash is testing a new feature that warns customers who don't tip that their orders may take longer. Fox's Richard Giacovas gets reactions on the streets of New York City.
It's how we can make a living every day. We can support our family.
For delivery driver Oliver, he's bundled up on the Upper West Side tonight, making his rounds for Uber Eats, Grubhub, and DoorDash. His only hope to make a decent wage is that the customer he's delivering the food to leaves a tip.
For us, the most important thing is the tip.
And DoorDash is the first food delivery company testing a warning message for customers. Tip, or your food order might just take longer. Here's what to expect in the app. If you enter a zero tip amount, a window pops up with a disclaimer that reads, orders with no tip might take longer to get delivered. Are you sure you want to continue? Dashers can then pick which order they want to fulfill.
It seems like there's a little bit of pressure, but I don't know if I'd say it's totally a bad thing.
The alert has prompted both sides to weigh in as to whether or not it makes one add a tip. Experts say Dashers like Oliver rely on tips and that customers should always consider adding a few extra bucks. However, some feel like DoorDash's approach may be a way of guilting the customer, which could backfire.
People are hesitant to give as big of a tip before receiving the service. But again, I think it's important that we consider when we're tipping people, are they relying on these tips as their income versus is it a bonus on top of what they're being paid, their wage?
The propaganda of like, you're a little loser if you don't tip is like a little bit threatening, which I mean, it might be the point.
A spokeswoman for DoorDash says that the reminder screen on the app is something that the company is still testing. The statement goes on to say that while a vast majority of customers do include a tip when they order, there are some offers that don't include a tip, and that makes it less desirable and often affects the entire community.
Up next, Dunkin' Donuts has a special deal from now until the end of the year. Just because Halloween is over doesn't mean the treats from Dunkin' have to stop. The chain is starting a new initiative called Free Donut Wednesdays. If you're a Dunkin' Rewards member, you can enjoy a free classic donut with the purchase of any drink. The new deal was announced alongside the Dunkin' holiday menu this past week. Dunkin' Rewards members can only take advantage of this deal from November through the end of December. To sign up for a Dunkin' Rewards, download the Dunkin' app. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. Thousands gather at the nation's capital for pro-Palestinian demonstrations coming up. One of the largest pro-Palestinian demonstrations to date in the U.S. happening today in D.C. As Israel continues its ground offensive in Gaza, thousands calling for an immediate end to the hostilities. Fox News Chief Washington correspondent Mike Emanuel has more.
Thousands in the nation's capital on Saturday showing support for the Palestinian people and calling for the White House to support an end to the military offensive in Gaza.
We've been dying left and right, been killed in front of the world to see, and the government hasn't blinked an eye.
The U.S. is one of just a handful of countries publicly opposing a ceasefire, agreeing with Israel's argument that it would simply give Hamas time to regroup. But those here today say too many innocents have been caught in the crossfire. Just on Saturday, Israeli strikes killed multiple civilians at a UN shelter and hospital in the main combat zone.
Kids, women, I mean, they're just pretty much bombing everything. This is not a war. War is a military against military, but this is against humanity.
A new Quinnipiac poll released this week shows half of registered voters approve of Israel's response to the October 7th attack by Hamas. At the same time, 70% support providing more humanitarian aid to help Palestinians in Gaza. The Biden administration is trying to strike a balance in the conflict, siding with their Israeli allies while emphasizing the need to get civilians out of harm's way.
Taking every possible measure to protect human life, to prevent civilian casualties, as well as to ensure that those who are in need have the assistance that they need.
Organizers say today's demonstration is the largest in the U.S. since the war began. In Washington, Mike Emanuel, Fox News.
Thousands of people all over the world are taking to the streets calling for an end to the Hamas-Israel war. Today, protesters demonstrated in Paris to express their support for Palestinians living in Gaza. They denounced Israel, calling the country an assassin. They also blasted French President Emmanuel Macron, referring to him as an accomplice in Israel's war effort. And thousands of people also rallied in Sydney, Australia, showing their support for the Palestinians. They said the hostilities must be brought to an end. President Biden flying up to Lewiston as the town is still reeling from Maine's deadliest mass shooting in history. Fox News correspondent Rebecca Castor in Washington has more.
President Biden stepping into the role of healer-in-chief once again Friday as he visits Lewiston, Maine, the small town rocked by a mass shooting just 9 days ago that left 18 people dead, 13 wounded, and countless others traumatized.
We're also meeting with survivors and families of the victims who will never quite be the same. No pain's the same.
Biden and the First Lady met with first responders, nurses, and others on the front lines of the response to the attack, along with family members and survivors, paying their respects and offering help in the recovery process.
It was be a long road to recovery. This is about common sense, reasonable, and responsible measures to protect our children, our families, our communities.
Last week's shooting was the deadliest in Maine's history, and it's reigniting calls for gun control.
This is ridiculous. I'm not saying you can't carry a handgun, but someone should not be able to walk into a bowling alley with an assault rifle and corner everyone in there and shoot them.
The president says he'll keep working to stop what he's called a nationwide epidemic of gun violence. Friday's trip all too familiar for the Bidens as they visited several communities scarred by mass shootings in the last 2 years. Despite a renewed focus on the issue, President Biden has been unable to get lawmakers on Capitol Hill to move on an assault-style weapons ban during his presidency. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
Still ahead, universities are investing in a new kind of sport.
Welcome back. We did see some increasing clouds heading into the afternoon, and some of us even getting in on some shower activity, some of us continuing to get in on that shower activity through the evening, and that will persist overnight tonight. Could even have a couple of rumbles of thunder, but the good news is no strong, severe storms, anything like that. Just some much needed rain, albeit brief and rather scattered out there. Earlier today, this was the view from our camera on top of the Cornell Complex, downtown Joplin. We had the clouds building in, some winds blowing out there, but no wild gusty winds like we've seen over the past week. But unfortunately, the gusty winds are going to make a return in the forecast. So we go late into tonight. So this is what I'm talking about. These are very widely scattered out there, but there will be a few showers, maybe even a couple of thunderstorms as we go into the overnight hours. They'll be brief, they'll be isolated, but some of us will get rain. We'll go ahead and start to warm back up again tomorrow, though. This is about noon on Sunday. Temperatures rising once again into the upper 60s. Then we go in the low 70s by the afternoon. So remember, our average high for this time of year is supposed to be right about 63 degrees, so well above that. In fact, we're still above average even as late in the day as 6 o'clock in the evening on our Sunday. However, we're going to remain dry as we head through Sunday and into our Monday across the area, but rain chances are still a possibility as we head into next week. But before that, we're also going to stay quite warm, and unfortunately, because we just can't get rid of those gusty winds, they're going to make a return, and they'll start to do so by tomorrow afternoon. Now, initially, as you can see, nothing too wild, but as the day progresses on Sunday, wind gusts start reaching around 20 miles an hour. We go into the overnight hours and into Monday morning. Now we've got wind gusts up to 30 miles an hour, maybe even upwards of 35 miles an hour. However, the winds will begin to calm down as we get into the second half of our Monday, at least a little bit across the area. So for tonight, again, a few isolated to widely scattered showers, maybe a rumble of thunder. Lows again above average into the mid 50s out there with the northeast breeze at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. We head into our Sunday. We're warm again and above average again. Low 70s, a few lingering morning showers out there, and then those will clear out. But we'll be stuck with the mostly cloudy skies and the gusty winds gusting out of the south now at about 20 miles an hour. We go into the rest of our week. Things continue to warm up. Look at Monday and Tuesday. We are pushing close to 80 degrees. And this is the second week of November, and it's going to be darn near 80. But then we've got our shower chances on Wednesday, and that will bring our temperatures back down right about average as we head through Friday of next week. We start to head into next weekend, and that's when things are definitely going to change again. We have more shower chances, and as you can see, another little bit of a cool down. But the good news is next weekend's cool down, nothing like what we saw a week ago. Our temperatures won't be plummeting, but we will fall just a little below average.
Coming up in sports, Missouri Southern and Pitt State football are both on the road. John Dales has highlights from each of their games and more up next in sports.
November 6th, 2021. That's the last time Pittsburgh State football lost a game to an MIAA opponent. From that point on, the Gorillas have won 20 consecutive conference matchups, setting up this afternoon with a chance to clinch a second consecutive MIAA championship. Pitt State on the road facing 7-2 Missouri Western. First quarter of this one, Pitt State up 3-0. Chad Dodson fumbles the football deep in his own territory. It's recovered by Missouri Western. That'd be a theme in this one. Gorillas making mistakes we haven't seen from them all year. After the good field position, Seth Cromwell punches it in. Missouri Western leads 7-3. Next Gorilla possession. Dodson redeems himself here. He throws it up to Colby Katzis. What a catch. Touchdown Pitt State. Gorillas retake the lead, up 10-7. Pitt State gets the ball back under 2 minutes before halftime. Dodson right back to Katzis, who goes up and makes another great catch. That leads to this QB sneak on the 1 yard line. PSU leads 17-10 at that point. That'd be the score going into half. In the second half, Missouri Western starts to air it out. Armani Eden goes deep to his receiver, Jonas Bennett. Huge pickup. That drive would end in a Missouri Western touchdown. 17 apiece. Fast forward into the fourth. We're tied at 24 now. Armani Eden dumps it off to Jonas Bennett again. This time he dives in. They say he scored a touchdown. Pitt State head coach Brian Wright challenges the play, but it's called. The call stays a touchdown. 31-24 Western. Next Pitt State possession, Chad Dodson goes to his running back, Cleo Chandler. He takes this pass the distance, 45-yard touchdown. However, Pitt State misses the extra point, so it's 31-30 Missouri Western. Under 2 minutes to go. Pitt State with the ball. The 34-yard line looking to score and take the lead, but Chad Dodson goes down, and he injures his ankle on this play. So next play, 4th and 13. Ty Pennington needs to get a first down. He gets sacked. Missouri Western upsets number 2 Pitt State 31-30. The Gorillas' first MIAA loss in over 2 seasons.
That's a good football team over there, and we knew that going in. We were going to have to play mistake-free at a high level, and we didn't play mistake-free, and they caused a lot of that, and we shot ourselves in the foot a lot too.
Missouri Southern also on the road this afternoon. The Lions have lost 4 of their last 5, most recently a week ago at home to Central Missouri. They try to right the ship against Emporia State today. Final home game of the season for Emporia State, and it wasted no time dominating. DeAndre Thomas Jr. caps off the first drive of the game with a 2-yard touchdown score. It's 7-0 Hornets. Then Tyler Coleman making magic on Emporia State's next offensive possession. He scores a 74-yard touchdown. It's 14-0 Hornets. Big day for Luke Sampson through the air. He gets a completion here for 45 yards to Dayon Gaston. Part of a career-high 315 passing yards for him. And this touchdown pass to David Bethune, one of 3 on the day for Sampson, makes it 14-7, but plays like that too few and far in between. Lions couldn't slow down Emporia's offense. Second touchdown of the day now for Thomas. Makes it 21-7, then Gleason to Coleman again. This time makes it 28-7. Another big loss for Missouri Southern. The Lions fall to Emporia State 63-28. Over to Division I college football, huge matchup in the SEC this afternoon. Similar situation to Pitt State. Georgia is two-time defending national champs. The Bulldogs haven't lost an SEC regular season game since November of 2020. Georgia at home against 7-1 Mizzou. First quarter, Tigers down 3-0. Brady Cook takes a deep shot. He finds Luther Burden III for a touchdown, 39 yards at 7-3 Missouri. Second quarter, same score. Carson Beck, quick strike to Dominic Lovett, makes it 10-7 Georgia. Third quarter now, Bulldogs down 13-10. Kendall Milton takes it in for a 14-yard touchdown. 17-13 at that point. Georgia on top later in the third. Beck to Oscar Delp for a 5-yard score. It's 24-13 Georgia. Fourth quarter now, here's your last push from Mizzou. Cody Schrader takes the rush to the outside, scores a 12-yard touchdown. Lead cut down to 24-21. Later in the fourth, Mizzou down 27-21. Cook tries to throw short, but his pass picked off by defensive lineman Nazir Stackhouse. Mizzou's upset bid falls just short. Georgia wins 30-21. Meanwhile, Oklahoma at Oklahoma State, 118th and possibly final edition of Bedlam. In the third quarter, Sooners down 17-14. Tawi Walker takes it 23 yards to the house. Oklahoma leads 21-17. In the fourth now, same score. Ollie Gordon II powers up the middle, 2-yard touchdown. Oklahoma State up 24-21. 2 minutes left in the fourth. Sooners down by 3. 4th and 5, Dylan Gabriel completes it, but short of the line to gain. Cowboy fans storm the field. Oklahoma State wins 27-24. That's all for sports. Back with more news after this.
Universities across the country are now investing in a new kind of sport, one that doesn't require you to leave your couch. Fox's Kennedy Hayes is in Chicago to show us how esports has taken over on college campuses.
It is not just here at Illinois Tech. We are seeing universities across the country spend thousands, in some cases millions of dollars on brand new esports centers. And some students play esports as a simple hobby. Others hope to go professional. And those pro contracts can pay as much as $1 million.
I remember my dad not believing me when I was like 14 playing back home. I was playing a lot of League of Legends back then. When he was like, no way people go to these tournaments to like watch you play.
Juan Bajorquez helped start the esports team at Illinois Tech 5 years ago. Since then, the esports boom has exploded on campus, so much the university is now planning to expand their facility.
When I graduated, I got to realize like the growth of the club and esports as a whole, from there being high school, collegiate, and even professional competitions.
According to Esports Insider, at top levels, esports players can be paid millions of dollars per year by their organization. How much a player makes can depend on how many fans are watching the game.
Tier 1 esports basically means these are games that have very large prize pools and incredibly large numbers of people playing. So games like League of Legends.
Top-ranked esports teams are now at universities across the country. Similar to other college athletes, schools are recruiting esports players with scholarships. Illinois Tech says they award merit scholarships of $5,000 per year. The university says a majority of their esports players are majoring in computer science or business, and their gamer experience applies to a wide range of jobs.
There are content creators, coaches, psychologists, all of the jobs that you think about.
Illinois Tech says they've grown and now have 100 competitive gamers competing on teams in 9 different titles, ranging from Super Smash Brothers to Counter-Strike and more.
We're trying to open those doors up to those casual gamers, making sure that the students who recreationally want to be involved with our program have that space.
According to researchers, this year an estimated 30 million Americans will watch esports. In Chicago, Kennedy Hayes, Fox News.
Up next, a bagpiper and a violinist join forces and go viral. A pair of young musicians have turned their viral TikTok fame into a debut album and tour. Rick Damigella talked with Mia and Ali for a musical Hollywood Minute.
That's Mia Asano and Ali the Piper performing their electric violin and bagpipes cover of Shipping Up to Boston.
The
The duo share similar stories as to how their music brought them together.
There was this app that I was obsessed with, as everybody was early in the pandemic, and I didn't see any bagpipers on it. At least not ones who were posting regularly and making kind of engaging and entertaining content.
Everything shuts down, and kind of as an exercise for myself, I decided that I wanted to just start posting music on the internet that I loved.
Their individual viral videos led them to becoming the duo Mia x Ali and releasing their debut album.
It's called the Viral Hits. So it is kind of our most viral duets that we've done. Is kind of the core of the album.
Yeah, when we first met up, like the first day that we met, we just sat down and recorded like 8 covers together. Those initial 8 really kind of like laid the foundation for not only us as a duo, but also us making more music together.
Johnny, rosin up your bow and play your fiddle hard, 'cause hell's broke loose in Georgia and the devil deals the cards.
The pair are touring in support of the album.
We worked our careers in the opposite direction, where we gained a fan base online, and we've never been to these cities before. So we have to also introduce ourselves as we go on tour to all of these people, and let them know who we are as well.
We're both classically trained musicians. We both have a deep respect for the traditions that come from both of our instruments, but we're also really passionate about breaking the barriers of what have been placed on our instruments by society.
Rocking out in Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We'll leave you with video of a black bear bobbing for apples. We'll see you back here next time. Thanks for making us part of your night.